What's up, everybody? Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining. This is Alicia Renee. You have joined Born to Lead Exchange with Alicia Renee. And here at Born to Lead Exchange, we want to give you information, motivation, and inspiration for your soul. Want to make an exchange with you. So, I want to talk a little bit more about a post that I made earlier today on social, and it was about your availability versus ability. And I use this topic to talk about, to share a little bit more about my life early in ministry. Some of you may know I've been a minister for quite some time, actually, almost over 20 years, about 21 years. And I received a call into the ministry at an early age. And to me, it was early. It's my early 20s, the prime of your life. And God called me specifically. I can remember it to this day. I remember what I was doing. I remember where I was. I remember the circumstances around it. I remember that day as if it was yesterday. And I remember what He told me. And He called me into the ministry of teaching. And He specifically spoke to me and told me, within my spirit, I want you to go and teach my people my ways. And He said, I have given you everything you need to get the job done. And I didn't understand that, but I knew it was a calling, and I knew I was being led to do something at a higher purpose. And so I was young, and as I shared on my post earlier, I knew nothing about ministry. I really didn't have. I had people around me, but unfortunately, those people were ended up being people that I could not truly trust. Took me some time to find that out, but after some years of being with them, I ended up leaving that organization that I was in, and it turned out that I could not really trust them. That's another whole post in itself. That's another whole topic in itself. But God brought me out of that. But He never changed His mind about what He called me to do. And I shared today about how we can be so concerned about the abilities that we feel like we don't have. I was 20 in my early 20s. I didn't feel like I had the capabilities, the quality. I didn't, I was fairly new in learning the Bible, but one thing I did have, that was a love for God. I loved the Lord. I loved serving Him, and I loved His Word, and I had a heart and a passion for people. But for a long time, I struggled with this calling that He had given me. And, I was at the time, I was in a relationship, I was married, but it was, not a God sent marriage. And, there was a lot of different things going on in my home. I was a single, and then I ended up being a single parent. Actually was a single parent before I got married, but when I did get married, and that's when not long after that, God called me into the ministry. But, the marriage was very unequally yoked, and we went through a lot of ups and downs. It was a lot of tension in the home. And, you know, um, we were struggling financially. I was not really confident in my own self and my own abilities. It was just a whole lot of things going on in my life. I was like, God, why would you call me to do such a thing? You see the mess that my life is in. Could you possibly want with me? And I struggled with that for so long. But yet I tried to do what God had asked me to do. Started off teaching Sunday school, then I would get an appointment here, an appointment there. I would do little small things. But what I found out in life and in my stumbling and fumbling through it all, that God was more interested in me being available to Him. And what I want to share with you is that ability will come. Confidence will come. you will grow in whatever it is that He's called you to do. And you can use this not only for ministry, we can use this in life, in business, in your career. You know, I started off in my career at the very low level uh, in my career as a file clerk, you know, filing away papers. But over time, I've been, with the same organization that I'm employed with for almost 30 years. And I had struggles with growing in that. But God used all of that to make me who I am today, as to why I can stand here and tell you that stay the course, that the ability will come, the confidence will grow. You may feel like right now your life is in a pure mess, and maybe He's called you to do something even in that situation. He's called you to a higher purpose, He's calling you up. And you don't feel like you're worthy. You don't feel like you have what it takes. One thing I've learned is that without Him, we can do nothing. Think about Moses. He called Moses while he was tending sheep. And we all know the story about Moses. Moses had killed an Egyptian. He had left Egypt. He had wandered through the desert. He, you know, found a home, and married and got married, and he was tending sheep for his father-in-law. And God called him to the mountain. He called him up, and he had a call on his life. But you would look at Moses' life and feel like, maybe it was a little, things were all out of balance, with Moses. And even Moses tried to say, Lord, I can't do this. I have a speech impediment. One thing I want to let you know is God never changes His mind about what He has called us to do. We might change our mind. We might feel like we can lay it down, walk away from it, um, not give attention to it. I even did that at one time in my life. I was so frustrated in ministry. I didn't have the mentoring. I didn't have anybody teaching me anything. I didn't have, at that time, not too many examples I could follow. I really felt like a loner. When you're young in ministry, I would recommend, if you are young and you're in ministry, connect with mentors, people who can help you through the process, who can help you understand yourself, understand the call, understand people, understand how to use your gift and ability to serve people, and to serve God through the gift and the calling that He has given you. You need that mentorship. You need, like Timothy needed Paul, and he became Paul's son in the gospel. You know, and you have to allow yourself to be mentored. Some people don't feel like they need it. They don't feel like they need anybody to teach them anything. They don't feel like they need anybody that can tell them anything. And if you look at folks that are like that, it's not long you see that they're not getting anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They're doing a whole lot of things through flesh and through self. But mentorship at any stage of life, in any occupation, whether it is ministry, whether it is your career, whether you are waiting tables, there is somebody there that has been there before you, and can teach you how to make your best tips, that can teach you how to be your best self. And so God is concerned about our availability. Make yourself available to Him, and the ability will come. If He has called you to it, He will get you through it. And so if you're feeling frustrated today, know that God sees you, and you can trust Him, and you can talk to Him about it, and you can ask Him to give you people, put people in your pathway that you can learn from. So ability is is a great thing. but making yourself available to God, giving him a willingness and a faithfulness, being faithful, being willing, and giving him that yes, and he will get you to the place that he wants you to be at in him. And you can use this in your career. Make yourself available. Be willing. Be faithful. Be teachable. And you watch how your career will take will grow. You will grow in your career, but you have to be willing to be mentored and to be taught. You have to be willing to be faithful in a few things. If we are faithful in a few things, he will make us rulers over many. But where we go wrong sometimes is we first of all we want to be rulers before we are faithful. We want to be chiefs before we're Indians. But he said, if you are faithful in a few things on your job, be faithful in those small things. Be faithful in those things that nobody wants to do. And do it not unto man, but do it unto God. And somebody's going to notice you. And somebody's going to take notice of that. But the lessons I've learned from availability versus ability is be available. Make yourself available. Make yourself available to God. Make yourself available on your job. Make yourself available in the community. And you watch how your abilities that you have will strengthen and will grow. I have a few things here I want to share with you before we tune out. Um, Ability, which you can look at this as confidence too. Confidence is not a birthright. Confidence is a set of habits. Again, like I was saying, you may have the ability, but you need to develop a set of habits, doing the same thing, doing it repetitiously, doing it um, faithfully, and then your confidence will build. When you're not confident in yourself, it keeps you worrying about what others are thinking of you. So even being a young minister, I had to learn to be confident. I had to learn to not look at what was going on around me, what other people were doing, where other people were going, what they were doing, how, the appointments they were getting or the places that they were, you would see them in. I had to understand the calling that God gave me and learn to be confident in that call. And when I learned to be confident in the calling, and I learned to be confident in who he has called me to be, then I began to see myself blossom. It is nothing like listening to, sitting under someone who is authentic in themselves and who is confident in who God has groomed them to be. We have so much fakeness right now. We have so many people pretending, so much pretense. But what the world needs now is authentic, confident people who are willing to share their life, share their stories, share their ups, share their downs, share their mistakes to help guide people into a better way. So I had to learn to be confident in who he had made me to be. When you are not confident, you keep yourself worrying about what others are thinking about you. But if God calls you to something, the evidence will be there. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to pump. You don't have to prime it. The evidence, meaning the anointing. If you are anointed for it, it will be evident. And you don't have to worry about what others are thinking of you. If you're continually worrying about others, what people are thinking of you, you're not confident. You're not walking in your confidence, and it's going to show. You can use this for ministry, or you can use this on social. You can use this when you're with your group of friends. You can use this in your career. If you are constantly worrying about what others are thinking of you, you're not walking in confidence, and it's going to show. And people are going to use that against you. So you must learn to walk in your confidence, walk in who you are, your abilities. When you have this type of worrying, it will cause you to overthink. You don't have enough bandwidth to be present with others. If you are not confident, it will cause you to worry and overthink. If you're constantly worrying about what other people are thinking about you, you are going to constantly overthink and you don't have enough bandwidth to be present in your authentic self with others. So, this is my part two of what I've learned about availability versus your ability. Your ability is who God made you to be. Your ability is what's on the deep inner core of who you are, and it's there. But what He wants from you and how you need to show up for the world, you need to show up more confident. You need to show up more authentic so you can be present with others. Don't worry about what others think of you. If you are in that place, you need to move past that. You need to find ways. You need to discover who you are. You need to discover what you're made to do, who you're made to be. And you need to walk in that confidently and authentically so you can show up and be more present with others. Don't worry about the ability. God has got that. You make yourself available to Him and you become a willing and a faithful vessel. And I guarantee you, He will take you places that you never thought you'd go. He put you in front of people that you never thought you would be in front of. And He will give you opportunities that you never thought you would have. This is Alicia Renee with Born to Lead Exchange, where I want to give you information, inspiration, and motivation for yourself.